right, guys, welcome to another Dead Hedgehogs podcast. It is myself, Stephen Cowboy Kelly. I'm here with Chris the Sledgehammer Gavigan and, of course, French Toast Peter Cassidy. And we are joined by a legend of the horse racing game, racing royalty in my books. And off screen, he was telling us that he's going to tell us the winners of all the 28 races at the Cheltenham Festival that's going to be happening in a couple of weeks. And we'll be letting you know them later on. We have David Mullins. David, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi lads, thanks for having me.
How are you doing, David?
Thanks very much for coming on, David. Thanks very much.
Sorry. Thank you, Peter.
You're looking smart, man. You recently retired.
Yeah, so I said I put on the shirt now and look for a new job.
You got a stack of interviews lined up, do you?
Good few. No, they're all already done now. Unfortunately, interviews on retiring don't really pay a whole lot. So
no.
You might got the COVID for the retirement, did you?
Sorry?
You might got the COVID payment when you retired, did you?
I haven't gone on it. No. I keep getting told I'm gonna have to pay it back, so I'm gonna stay away from it.
Well, you retired very young, and we all know it's a tough game. How long were you in the actual? I imagine with your lineage that you were literally brought up with horses, so you've been probably in it a long time. How long have you been actually grafting with horses and actually making it your occupation?
Well, I suppose it's always been there in the background racing. I went to school, played hurling, went to school in Kieran's College in Kilkenny, and I had more interest in playing hurling and you know, going around with my friends for the weekend and riding a few show jumpers as a kid, just having the crack. It was never something I thought I'd do professionally myself until I got to about 15, 16, and the leaving cert wasn't looking good for David, so I was flipped out of school, and you know, my uncle was I'd say about a 12 or 15 maybe time champion trainer at that stage. I'm not sure what time or how many times he was champion trainer, so I was late enough, and I said I might have to look into making a few quid now, because college is well gone over the horizon.
You were good. Didn't realize you were in Kieran's. Obviously, the Kilkenny team is littered with lads that went to Kieran's. Is there anyone on that you were in class with?
Yeah, I was in the same year as Liam Blanchfield, Richie Lahey, Jason Clear, Darren Mullen, Adrian Mullen were a couple of years younger than me. You know, literally all of them nearly at the time. You know,
churning out sports people.
Yeah. Well, you'd be better off forgetting your school bag than your hurl going in there.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Would hurling have been your sport-wise your first love?
No, it wasn't a love or anything. I wasn't any good at it either. It was just something I didn't get up in the mornings and say, Jesus, I'd love to go riding horses now. I was thinking, where's the match or when's the training? That's what I was doing at 12, 13, 14, 15, you know. It was never, geez, where's the racing on this weekend, or how many lots can I ride out before I have to go and do something or something like that in the mornings. Racing was always in the background. It was always a choice for me if I wanted to go down that road, and I ended up doing it. But as I said, it was never a love. If you interview any other jockey maybe or ask them, they'll always tell you they grew up watching Cheltenham, hammering the back of the chairs, pretending to be a jockey. I wasn't that kid.
Well, I'm not a jockey, but I've done that.
Yeah. Probably had a few quid on a horse and rode it home for the jockey.
I rode. There's a lot of winners that I can testify that it was me that brought them all the way home.
Yeah. Like the 16th man on a pitch or something.
Exactly. No, do you know what? I don't think I've ever sat on a horse. Probably because I'm a bit too big to be sitting on horses, and definitely to be horse racing with them.
Well, I've never seen it. I've never seen anyone sitting on a horse with a beard.
Are you serious?
Never.
There's always
with this beard.
There has to be a video in that now.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Cowboy actually becomes a cowboy. Just trot like it's a fucking Wild West.
Horses might get spooked with the beard. They might get spooked.
Yeah. I wouldn't be blaming that on the beard.
I've never actually, now that you say it, I've never actually seen a jockey with a beard either.
No.
But,
it might weigh too much.
Yeah, that might be it.
Maybe. No, I love like if there's anything more I like as much as Mayo winning a football match, it's an Irish trainer or an Irish jockey winning a race in England or France or America or Australia or Dubai or any of them places. I love to see it. I love to see Aidan O'Brien doing well. I love to see Willie Mullins doing well at Cheltenham or Gordon Elliott or to Bromhead or any of them. It's just, I watch that, and it's the strange thing is I've never actually been on a horse, but I just love horses. I love everything around with it. So it's surprising. They say that once it's in the blood. Horses, if you're into them at all, it's in the blood. So it's surprising to hear that you were at such a level of racing and it wasn't in the blood, if for want of a better sentence.
Yeah. Well, I'm still addicted. I still have the bug of racing. I love racing as a sport. I'm lost within the sport. I look at it every day now. I see what's running. I like the sires. I like to see how much it's sold for as a younger horse. Maybe a horse that could have a good future in handicaps. I always will love the sport. It's not that I retired out of the sport. It's just that I retired out of being a jockey. And I get what you say about Irish trainers out foreign, like Aidan O'Brien. How massive is the Ballydoyle Coolmore operation? Sure. And to see them winning even in Australia, America, as you say, you kind of get a sense of achievement being Irish looking at it. Yeah. Just from how small we are as a population, to have someone as big as that in a worldwide sport is massive.
And you look at Irish people really get that around this time of year with Cheltenham coming up, because it is that Britain versus Ireland, and it is the ruler of the world. Ironically say that, but it's going head to head to be the top country with the best jump horses, with Cheltenham around the corner.
Which is a crazy thing for a small country like ours to actually beat the English trainers for the last couple of years. Yeah, to send over horses and them to win, and all the jockeys we sent over, all the trainers we've sent over, horses we've sent over, horses bred in Ireland that have been sent around the world. One of the top countries in the world.
Why do you think they're so good? I was going to say, why are they so good? Why are the Irish so good? What is it? You were about to answer it.
Yeah, well, it's obviously a passion of Irish people to breed and sell horses and produce them even in show jumping as well. That's all they do. And jockeys as well, show jumping riders, whatever it is. They have a horsemanship like no other country. And before that used to get sold out of Ireland when they were produced, or jockeys used to leave Ireland when they were produced as jockeys. Now it's all coming back home with William Mullins, Gordon Elliott, Aidan O'Brien. You have the three of those, and now you're actually seeing English owners buying horses off Irish people at the sales in England, at the big sales, and they're putting them back in training with Willie Mullins in Ireland, and Gordon Elliott, and Henry de Bromhead. All these big owners now, they see that Ireland is the stronghold of training horses, and if you want a Cheltenham winner, if you're not with those three trainers, your chances are a little bit slighter going to Cheltenham.
Yeah. I love to see it. I just glued to it every Cheltenham or any of the big, or Ascot or any of them for the flat horses, and Aidan O'Brien and Dermot Weld and all them. I love to see it.
Going back to like your first big winner was probably Nicholas Canyon. You probably had other winners before that, obviously, but like Nicholas Canyon is probably the one that kind of got you on the track to those first big couple of wins and stuff. How that feeling at 15 to 16 years old must be incredible. Like,
yeah, Nicholas Canyon was class. He was a small little tiny horse, hardy out. He had won 4 Grade 1s, I think, before I rode him now, and like to be going off 7-1 after winning 4 Grade 1s against Baheen, who was the king, and probably one of the best race horses I've ever seen. Like, I didn't really fancy myself. The instructions Willie gave me, I thought I was going out to give Faheen a lead around for his first run of the season, and he picked me off up the straight like I was standing still. What a hardy little horse. I gave him a squeeze at the second last now, and any other horse wouldn't have got there. They would have landed before he came up that far away, and he was so low and quick. And just hardy. I gave him another squeeze when we turned in and took off again and took off in the back of the last. He was a phenomenal little horse, and people kind of forgot about him because Faheen was the king at the time. But I nearly felt a bit guilty winning on him, beating Faheen
I was just about to say to you,
at a bit of stage, yeah.
It was a victory that was probably bittersweet to you, because I know that you have a soft spot for Faheen. I've seen one of your interviews. So it must have been a bittersweet sort of victory for a little bit.
Yeah. Well, you could say that. I didn't get the reception. I didn't get the warmest reception of all time from people around, maybe because it was such a shock. But
I'd say a lot of Yankees were let down.
Sorry?
I'd say a lot of multiples and Yankees were let down in that bet.
Yeah, well, if you're putting 1 to 7 shots like Faheen in your Yankees, you're a real shrewd anyway, aren't you?
That's true. Yeah. That is true. That is very true. There used to be a tipster on Midwest here. It's the local radio station in Connacht, and there used to be a segment where he'd tip a horse every day, and he had like 35 days of straight wins. But when you look through all his tips, they were like 1 to 6 and 1 to 3 and 1 to 4.
he was just picking the favorites, was he?
Picking the favorites. Shoe-ins, yeah. 1 to 10, I think, was best. But
well, sure, he could give you long price losers either.
When you at that age, you know, obviously there must be so much excitement kind of heading off to up to Ballinrobe and then going down to Tramore, and you know, you're here, there and everywhere getting races and stuff. It must be different at that age.
I used to enjoy it, I'd say the first twice. Maybe I went to Ballinrobe.
Yeah.
Then I hated it. I hated it. It was in the middle of it was 9 o'clock in the evening getting out of there, getting lost in the way home because you don't know the roads that well. No such thing. But it's not that long ago, but I didn't really have Google Maps or anything like that, or there was no navigation system in the car. Ringing my father trying to explain where am I going now, what am I doing, where am I? What do you see? I see a big stone. Yeah, the crack started wearing off that then after a couple of years. I just found it a real pull. I had no interest in going up there. I had no interest in going racing, you know, when I could have been doing, when I wanted to go to maybe the sales, or I wanted to go out foreign and see what something was like out foreign, as in show jumping or foreign racing. You couldn't really do it, and if you did, you were made feel guilty. You were made feel like you weren't hungry enough if you took an extra week off in the summer. Yeah. You're that's what it is. You're not hungry enough. You should love going racing every day, and that's the way I was brought up. You shouldn't take a day off. That's the way I was brought up. That's the way my family are, and that's the way the racing perception is.
I can imagine. I mean, horse racing is a clique, or it's a community.
Yeah. And they all love their job so much that they don't see that as a problem. I didn't have the hunger for being as a jockey like that.
If you don't mind me asking, David, is when you said your next venture, or you said earlier on that you were trying to set up something new, is it in the horse racing industry?
I don't know. I'm looking down sort of all routes, maybe media, I don't know, maybe a bloodstock agent, maybe buying and selling a few of my own. It could be show jumping, and that's the other side of my family. I'd like to see what opportunities there is out there, and not particularly in Ireland. I might have to go foreign. I might have to go to America, Australia, France, other strongholds in the horse industry. So I don't know what it is, but as a jockey, I could never find it out.
Yeah. The show jumping side of it, can you go into that a little bit? You know, obviously you say that's on the other side of your family, obviously on your mother's side or whatever.
Yeah. My auntie Marion Hughes jumped for Ireland in the Olympics in 2004. I think it was Athens.
Okay.
Yeah. She's massively involved in show jumping. She doesn't ride quite as much as she used to now, but she's a lot of horses in Kilkenny and Portugal. And all my mother's sisters own show jumpers as well and produce them and breed them. So my girlfriend is currently over in Spain at the minute riding as well. Yeah, it's as big on one side of the family show jumping is as racing is on the other.
Yeah, brilliant.
Tell me this, David. Growing up, did you feel awful pressure to be involved in horses? Was there any option not to be involved in horses?
I suppose there was. There definitely was the option not to be involved in horses. My parents aren't like that or anything, but as I said, school, the leaving cert, that wasn't happening. What is David going to do? Bait him out of bed Saturday morning, get him up to ride out a few horses, and just get him to do something. You know, that was the only thing for me to do when I left school, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the producing the horses. My father had bought a horse. I think I was 14 or 15. A horse called Some Article, and he won the Land Rover bumper at the Punchestown Festival the first day, and it was absolutely massive to what it done for my family. He sold the horses. He sold the horse after, and it was a big prize money pot to win as well. So, you know, that put the rest of my brothers and sisters through school.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was great. Like to see him being bought. I was there the day he was bought at the sales, and you know, it was planned from day one to go and win that race with him. It was 60 grand to the winner, and I'm not sure how much he got from, but I'm sure it was a good bit. It was private, so I don't know, but you know, he was comfortable after that, and I seen that was the bug I got for racing.
Yeah.
Wow.
You can get very, I'm not going to say lucky being probably the wrong word, but you can get a horse that just makes your year, a couple of years for you, you know, and it sets you up for maybe down, you know, you'll always get another one then after that. Some horses like that just come along, and some of them are expensive to start off with. Some of them you can breed yourself. Some of them, I'm sure, you just get lucky with them. Like just going back to the flats, Sir Percy, I think, was bought for pittance. There was a few horses bought for just a couple of thousand, and they went on to win Group 1s and Grade 1s.
Yeah, no, there's few very good lucky stories in racing. You know, I'm not sure was it Sir Percy. It was Gordon Lord Byron. I think he bought it for $2 grand. Tom Hogan. I think he won Group 1s all over the world. He was
all over the world. Yeah,
brilliant horse.
A lot of Irish horses that have gone over and they've been completely overlooked, and they've gone on to win big at Cheltenham, or big prices at Cheltenham, and
those small yards. That's where the excitement is as well. Like when you see a small yard with a horse that only came into the yard for a couple of grand, and suddenly they're winning a Grade 1 or they're winning a massive bumper at Cheltenham or something like that. You're like, that's amazing. You'd love to be involved in any of that.
Yeah, but there's loads of trainers and owners in Ireland with such great characters. They're hilarious, and you'd be surprised how quick of a following they get. Like Paul Nolan got latest exhibition last year. He was owned by Jim Myrna, a local man down the road from Paul Nolan. I'd say has been involved owning horses and breeding horses and racing all his life, and he couldn't afford not to sell them. But whatever way it happened, they didn't sell him. They sold him. He sold him to 3 lads in the yard already, and they came up with a partnership, and they kept the horse. And he went on to the Dublin Racing Festival in Leopardstown and won, and the scenes were crazy. Went on to Cheltenham. He was a close second. It was great. Paddy Power done a lot of following on him, made a few great videos. You know, Paul Nolan is one of the great characters, and that's what people love to see in racing as well.
Yeah, we have a Doran's Pride was from owned in Mayo. So we have a similar, like obviously a few years ago now, but that they still talk about him down there.
There was songs sung about him.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, there was Denoli's trainer, Tom Foley, who died during the week. He's from very close to. He'd be very local to us. He's in Carlow. He died last week, but I was watching a video of Denoli, who was probably a very famous horse. I've seen Dorn's Pride falling at the last when going to be second to him in Cheltenham. And that was only this week. I haven't seen a video of Dorn's Pride in about 10 years other than that.
Going back in time, and I only realized this today when I done a bit of reading. My first horse that I remember having anything to do with was Don Run. And I didn't realize that Don Run was trained by your grandfather.
Yeah. Don Run is still talked about every day in our house.
Wow.
I mean, my father would have been, and my grandfather as well, who loved to bet, loved the horses. My father as well. My grandfather put on little like 50 pence betons, that sort of thing, whereas my father thought he was a big shot. He'd be throwing on the £50 when £50 was £50. But there's a lot of stories in that too. But Don Run, they used to be raving about Don Run, and then it went out and it got killed in France. And I took it. I was only a young fella. I took it so bad. I used to look up at the clouds, and there used to be like I could make out a picture of a horse in the clouds, and I'd start bawling, crying.
It's like fucking The Lion King.
Yeah.
Cowboy, you have forgotten me.
Well, when I was a kid, we had best mate. Well, I'd say I was only about maybe 7 or 8. Best mate was going for his 3rd Gold Cup in Cheltenham, and I think Dad might have had a runner in Cheltenham. He was going over anyway, and I rang him and I said, "If best mate wins, is he better than Don Run?" And he was so sick of me asking the question. He said, "Yeah, he is." I remember bawling my eyes out looking at best mate winning his 3rd Gold Cup. I cursed every other horse in the race for not winning.
Yeah, I was on the second that day. I think it was.
I remember throwing. I think I threw the milk bottle out the window.
You do. You get invested in some horses. Some horses mean more than others. I don't know. I just like there's been a lot of horses down the years that.
There's a personality to horses as well that people
I think
catch on with.
Yeah.
So like you know, they can be quirky. Cheltenham, like. Obviously, it's going to be different this year with no crowd there, but like the last going up the hill at Cheltenham must be unbelievable. Like,
I hate everything about Cheltenham.
Why did you hate it?
I had about 60 fucking rides and then I never rode a winner.
Okay.
You like that?
I didn't know that.
I presumed that you would have had a winner.
No, it's the loneliest place in the world. Cheltenham, it's great if you're winning, but I'm telling you, second is no good. I had 5 or 6 seconds in it, but no, it's
supposed to be the standard of horses and jockeys that are in Cheltenham. I mean, the horses are geared for that all year round.
But it's a funny track. Like it's not like riding around Leopardstown or Punchestown or Aintree. It's completely different. It's up and down around bends, and you turn a bend, there's a fence in front, there's a hurdle. You know, it's a peculiar track. It's if you're not traveling, if you're not on the best horse, it's not nice to ride around.
Okay. Well, then on the flip side of that, Aintree must hold a sweeter spot for you in your heart.
Oh, the Grand National. Now, maybe I'm biased to the Grand National after winning it and being second in it, but I found it was the easiest race of all time to ride in. It was any amount of room. It was a flat track. Fences were big, but you're riding good horses. So, and you don't have a good horse. You don't have a good horse that's a bad jumper. It wouldn't be there. It couldn't be a good horse if it was a bad jumper, really. So, you were riding good horses in a big race, and I always enjoyed the National. I thought it was easy.
Excellent. I mean, I'm sure for jockeys, it's not the easiest of races. But you were only 19 when you won it. Am I right?
19 when I won the National. Yeah. Bit of a shock. Mouse Morris told me the night before, go out and have a few drinks and get everything out of your system. Come back to me tomorrow. no nerves. So that's what we done.
Yeah.
Okay,
That sounds like a great plan.
that sounds like
That sounds. That's,
Do you know what? I might take up jockeying after all.
You know, nerves anyway. Be lashing into pints.
What was it like? There's no point in having you on here and not asking you what was it like to win the Grand National.
I remember coming down to the second last, and Davy Russell saying something like, "Oh, you have it, Mullins," or "Go on, Davy," or something. I forget what he said the words, but I remember him saying something, and I just started smiling to myself. And I was lost for about, I don't know, probably about 10 seconds in a world of I don't know what. And then I remember getting thick at myself saying, "You fucking idiot, you're on the bridle down to the last in the national and you're smiling away to yourself." Well, then we went by the two that were in front of me, and it was literally head down, keep going, keep going, keep going. And you can't hear a thing. Cannot hear a thing. Cross the line, and it's eerie, it's quiet. I didn't hear anything.
But is that in every race? Like I'll ask you that after. Is that in every race that you can't hear nothing, or can you hear?
Well,
What can you hear when you're riding?
I don't know, but I went down one day. I think I was riding 100-to-1 shot in a maiden hurdle or a novice hurdle. I had no chance anyway. But it was a student race day down in Mallow, and I could tell you what they were saying in the stands. The roar, it felt louder than Cheltenham after the first race on the Tuesday.
Okay.
Maybe because I wasn't
Wow,
I wasn't whatever. I wasn't clued in as much because it didn't have any chance. But yeah, there's some days, but the national was eerie. There's however many thousand people there. The noise of the place, and it's such a not an amphitheater, but it's, you're riding into a bend with a stand in it. There's people everywhere. You don't see anything. It's just I didn't see anything for about, I don't know, 2 minutes after crossing the line. Or
Wow.
here.
Did you know that you had it won going to the last?
I didn't think I had a one, but I knew I was traveling well, jumping the second last and down to the last. But then you're not thinking, like, you pull out the plant and you just stay wailing until you get to the line, and you make sure you don't sit up early.
Yeah, you don't want to do it.
There's a really famous photo of yourself. I think it's your brother and your mother after, and like your brother is just in bits. He's like, you can see he's so emotional. It's just so proud, like, and like that shows for the whole family. It must have been just incredible. Like, and he's gone racing now himself, is he?
Yeah, you've seen the photo. Obviously, Charlie's only small there. That's what, 4 years ago, nearly 5. Charlie's about 6'2" or 3 now, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, he's struggling with the weight big time. He's an amateur at the minute. He rode his first winner. He's well able to ride. He's a lot better than me than I was at his age. So he's doing well. But yeah, back to that picture. I don't know. It's just how big the whole thing was. And when he was only small, he couldn't take in what was happening. I'm sure the only thing you do when you're shocked as a kid is you cry, isn't it?
Yeah. You see, I can tell Pete's not into horse racing like us two would be, and like, remember, Pete, that this is, for jump jockeys, this is the pinnacle. There's only one of them in a year, and there'll only ever be one Grand National winner every year till the end of time. And to win it, like, there's been top jockeys that have never won the Grand National, and even AP McCoy took him so long. The likes of AP McCoy, who would be probably as many would see
to back a winner,
in the
Grand
first 5.
Like to back it. Like I remember putting €20 next year launch, 33-1. And fuck me, that was a good weekend. It was like he won by a nose, and it was like one of the slimmest margins ever to win. It was just, and I tell you this much, I was fucking elated. So I could only imagine what it's like to be looking around after. I was like, fucking, I'm on the horse that fucking won.
Yeah. And the fact that the horse had never won over fences either. It was like, this was the first time it won over fences.
Yeah, he'd never won over fences, but I was second on him in the Irish National the year before. I was third on him in the Kerry National that summer. He had plenty of experience. It was just that he was campaigning. He was campaigning at the highest level, so he never really got his chance to go down and win the beginner's chase and just get him over the line. They never bothered doing that with him. So he had all the experience and stuff, so it didn't really matter.
Didn't Morris win the Irish National that year as well?
Won the Irish National, the Kerry National, the Grand National, and I think he was going to win the Scottish National, and the horse fell at the third last or something, or the fourth last.
Okay.
As well. So, yeah, he could have had a great year that year, but yeah, it was fantastic for him.
Just on a segue, on a side note to them nationals, I was telling the lads earlier on, that was in 2016. And I think
Jigginstown had the horses gone in 2018.
Was that?
I think Jigginstown had the horses gone in 2018.
Yes. Oh, yeah. But I was that Easter or the end of March and into the first couple of weeks in April, I had an aneurysm, and I was in Beaumont Hospital when you won the national. So for it to be an Irish winner, even though I think I actually told someone to put a bet on, and I didn't back you that day. I'm sure it was an Irish horse. I did back.
The bollocks. He didn't back you, the bollocks.
Yeah, no faith in you at 50 to 1.
So it was just lovely to hear that it was an Irish jockey, an Irish trainer, an Irish horse that had won.
David.
You're the man.
David, every podcast he brings up the aneurysm. He's stealing our thunder. Every podcast.
Timpany.
I just added it into just somehow I get it in there somehow.
Yeah.
Every time.
He'd be talking about when he was 10 years old, and he goes, and it kind of reminded me about the time when I had that aneurysm.
You mentioned, David, keeping the weight off. I mean, that's the hardest part of being a jockey. Is it as tough as they say? Well, I know it is.
I was very lucky. When I was about, say, 18, 19, 20, 21, I struggled. I was tall, taller than most jockeys, and I did struggle to keep the weight. I didn't struggle to keep it down. I struggled to keep it from flip-flopping, going up and down and up and down like a yo-yo, just trying to get a normal weight that stayed consistent. I couldn't do that for ages. And then I'd say about maybe 22 or 23, and my weight just fell off me. Couldn't keep it on for a finish. I was riding on the flat and everything. It was just the way I trained my body and my mind to eat. I didn't eat breakfast. I know that's something I got from Ruby Walsh. It was the easiest meal of the day I found to skip. So one meal a day and maybe as much coffee as you want. I'm a smoker too. That obviously helps with me a little bit.
You should have an ebook out or a diet plan. Smoking and coffee.
Yeah. It worked for me. It's probably not the thing to do now with all these professional athletes and stuff, but that was the way I dealt with it anyway, definitely.
And did you tell me this, David? Did you have to do much physical training to be ready to be on the horse? I'd imagine you would.
Never was in a gym in my life until I broke my back and had to go for a rehab.
Okay.
You were never in a gym in your life?
Never.
And is that normal among jockeys, or would the jockeys be in the gym? Or
no, that'd be an old-fashioned thing. A lot of them are now. Yeah, definitely.
Are they? And has it changed much? The training, has it changed much from previous years?
Oh, I'd say being a jockey now is completely different to what it was, as is all sports, I'd say. But you'd hear some fairly raw enough stories about jockeys back in the day, the shape they used to turn up to the races at. But that doesn't happen anymore.
No.
Yeah, because there's always a thing with hurlers, jockeys, and plasterers. We're always and chefs. We're always fucking nuts. Do you know what I mean? So we could throw a few more in there as well, I'm sure. But they always had a crazy. They always had a crazy look in their eye. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Maybe back in the day, there's some stories now that you'd be shocked to hear. No, I don't know whether they're true, but there is some great stories and funny ones as well, and brilliant stories.
Tell them now, David.
I love I love the old stories. I love.
You might as well tell them. You might as well tell them. Fake names.
I bring out my list there now. I have it all down on the phone. No chance.
Like I watching a couple of interviews and stuff after you had announced your retirement. Like it was almost like the horse racing community couldn't understand that you didn't want to do it anymore. It was like and we're regular guys. We've all left just random jobs and no one ever questioned it. It must be very strange to have the media kind of zone in. Why it's like, why is one of the Mullins is not wanting to be a jockey? This is crazy. It must be a very strange place to be like.
Yeah. Well, my family were obviously took the news fairly well. Anyone that knew me and knows me shouldn't have been that shocked, but I have plenty of feelers. It was never really for me. Of course, you love it when you're winning. That's the only part I missed about it. Winning. I didn't enjoy it, and I felt I made that quite clear for the last couple of years.
Yeah. Okay. So at the end of the day, as long as you're happy and your family is happy, but most importantly, you're happy with your decision yourself, and that's the most important thing.
You could be a competitor, like.
I am competitive, and like I am a competitive person, but if it feels it, I nearly feel now like I gave up. I don't know why that it's nearly a bit guilty or something, but I'm happy with my decision, and it was definitely the right thing to do. So
well, if you're happy with it, you didn't.
All that matters.
I wouldn't say you give up. You made a decision. You wanted to move on, progress in your own self, and there's hundreds of other jockeys that'll take your place. But at the end of the day, you have to be happy with your decision. I feel like I'm doing one of the agony uncles sections.
The other side of it is the day that you retired, there was a huge horse racing story that should have probably have taken precedence in Viking Horde and the report coming out, which was unreal. For anyone that doesn't know, Viking Horde was a horse that was sedated kind of nefariously, and there was some shady bets from likely the Far East that was down in Tremor, and like that's a story that I'm sure that you're looking at from the outside in. And Charles Byrne obviously got a 6-month ban, even though he was clearly not implicated in it, just that he had left the horse unattended, or his guys had left the horse unattended. I'm sure you were standing back looking. I was like, how is this not taking a massive precedence over my retirement?
Yeah. So I'd say somebody owes me a few quid.
It was a good distraction for the boys that were up to no good, maybe.
Yeah. If I had known a bit earlier about it, I might have been able to get a few quid out of it.
Do you think that? Do you think obviously there's wrongdoing in every sport? Like there's footballers throwing games, and they turning down money. I actually know a guy that got banned by the FAI for taking Chinese money to get a couple of yellow cards when he was playing FAI football. So, like,
Chris, why were you giving him Chinese money?
I'll do it for anyone. like, do you think that's more prevalent? Do you think that it's actually a bigger thing than has been than people really know about?
No, I don't think so. Maybe I'm oblivious to it a bit, but like I worked for honest people when I was racing. There's obviously the lower end of racing where people can't compete, and they do need to make a few quid doing something, ready in a horse for a day, or possibly getting it handicapped over the wrong trip, or knowing it's a bit weak as a 5-year-old and going for the win as a 6-year-old. But there's that's letting the horse mature, so that's a bit different. But you know, it's a funny game as regards making a living. There's a lot of trainers and jockeys not making a living, and you know, I don't see it. There's lads struggling, and I still don't see or hear of any stories like the Viking Horde thing or like anything like that.
Yeah, there's no honor in that anyway, and I do still think that there's so much honor in horse racing. That's just my romantic nature coming through anyway. But
so you think that Dublin is that they're not financially doping either? So you know.
Yeah, well, I'm just a traditionalist when it comes to sport, and I believe in everyone.
Tell us this, David. You mentioned injuries there. Have you had some serious injuries?
I think I broke 6 collarbones, punctured lung. And
I thought you only had 2 collarbones. Yeah, you're queer breed, C-GAVs.
Yeah.
What was your injury?
I think 4 on that shoulder and 2 on the other. I think it is. Yeah.
Oof, Christ.
Did you put your back after one particular fall? Did you?
Yeah. That was pretty. That was the most serious one. You know, you couldn't really give a shit if you broke your leg or your arm or your collarbone. They'll heal. They'll be fine. But breaking your back, it does frighten you a bit. But when it happened first, in the hospital and that, the nerve pain I had in my legs, that was a bit scary. I didn't ever know if that was ever going to come back right again and stuff like that. They're the only things that frighten you. The pain isn't bad after you get the painkillers in, obviously, but you know, it's breaking your back is a bit scary, to be honest. Yeah,
doesn't sound nice.
And is it hard to get back on the, like, to say the phrase get back on the horse, but is it actually hard to get back on the horse after an injury like that?
No,
psychologically.
No, not psychologically, because physically, you know, you're back well. I done a bit of training in the gym, obviously. That was when I went back into the gym, rehab, and I was never as fit in my life. 100% strong. Back was giving me no trouble. So if the body's well, the healthy, the mind will be as well as with it.
Brilliant.
Well, I'm sure it's the you probably know the likes of John Thomas, JT McNamara, and you probably have those stories in the back of your mind as well. Like, it must be hard to dispel all that and just go.
Yeah. Well, I'm very good friends with Robbie McNamara, who was paralysed in a fall in Wexford about 4 or 5 years ago. And what he had to go through was terrible. It was in the back of my mind, but it was put to the back of my mind. That didn't affect me. No, it probably should have, but it didn't.
It's an amazing mentality to like this again. I know you grew up in a household that was horse racing anyway, so you know, but for regular people, that wouldn't be normal. You know, being knowing someone that was paralyzed and then you going out and racing anyway.
Yeah, so I suppose it's a funny way of looking at it. But that's what it is. I don't know how to describe it. That's
Speaking of other jockeys, David, had you any idols? Had you anyone that you looked up for?
Ruby Walsh was God.
Yeah.
God, yeah.
Yeah. I'd be
fine. Sure you saw plenty of them in your uncle's yard and stuff.
Yeah, he was always, when I first went to Willie's, when I left school in the summer, he was fairly hard on me now for leaving school.
He was hard on me on the interview on RTE only a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. He's good. That's Ruby's tough. He's cold. He's sort of cold, statistically cold. He'll rattle off numbers that'll confuse you if he has an argument against you. He you know, he's well educated and stuff, and he's very good at the media side of things. So he does his homework and he knows things. It's hard to say that he's wrong about anything. So you kind of always had to listen.
He's meticulous. Or even in his interviews, he's meticulous. Even after the races, he's meticulous when he's interviewed. And another legend of the horse racing game. I met him up in, is it Leopardstown or Punchestown? That's Christmas. Leopardstown, yeah. So yeah, he's a great character, and of course he was at the top of the game, and he was in with Paul Nicholls, and then he was with Willie Mullins. He really had the pick of the crop.
The pick, but I'm telling you that was his greatest feat as a jockey, was how he juggled the two of them.
Yeah,
unreal.
Yeah. Used to go over to England on a weekend or Saturday.
Yeah, but he was in Plumpton on the Mondays as well. He was in England. I'd say done 2 or 3 flights a week.
Yeah,
like I suppose when again that type of workload must be outrageous for and dedication to do it for 25 years or something like that he was in it.
Probably more, maybe 30.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
yeah. On top of jockeys, horses. Which was your favorite horse? Which is your favorite win? Which is your favorite horse? If there is, I know you said that you don't have. I read that you don't have favorites, but if you were to nail your colours to the mast,
favorite win probably it is the Grand National. It's massive, 600 million people watch it. Sure, it has to be.
Wow.
So it's that's for the pure size of it. That's the reason. That's my favorite. Faheen was another great day as well. The atmosphere around him winning. He was sort of written off and then came back. That was massive. But my favorite horse would be Faheen or Foster's Cross, who gave me my first professional win. Back 2015, 14 maybe. He was I think he was 12 years of age. He had been in my father's for 8 years. He'd won every season. He won the big stay in amateur handicap in Galway. He used to run in Galway the whole time. He loved the place. He was a people's favorite horse as well. So I'm going to say Foster's Cross.
Oh, brilliant. You also won a stayers hurdle on Faheen.
Yeah. That was a massive day. I remember he wasn't a stayer, as he was known as a champion hurdler. He ran the champion hurdle in Cheltenham, and he got beaten, and everyone had written him off. And I rang up Willie to see if I could ride him. I was down on another horse who I didn't fancy at all, which was York Hill, another very famous horse. And Willie said, "Yeah, get on him if you want. I don't really fancy him," he said. And someone in the office said that to me. And I said to Ruby, my instructions is that I'm going to make the running, which isn't the thing you do on a 2-miler stepping up and trip. You normally drop them out and make sure they get home. But I remember him looking at me and going, "Oh, anyway." And it was like he was saying it's going to be your funeral when you come back in.
That's right. I seen you saying that.
Would you consider yourself a bit of a maverick? Like taking that decision on yourself is again against the grain almost like.
I couldn't say that now. It's just there were obvious decisions, and you need to be able to adapt and change when things aren't going as straightforward. So that's the reason I'd done it, and I fully believed in myself and backed myself that I was able to do those things when I needed to, and that was just one of the days I done it.
Brilliant, and paid off obviously.
The influence on Willie Mullins in your career is obviously can't be understated, but like what I can well imagine, I can well imagine him being your uncle, him being a bit harder on you than maybe some of the other lads. How do you find that like? Or is that
well, no, Willie is top class. He loves racing. Like I've rode for Willie in the summer, and Willie could give you 10 minutes of an instruction, 15 minutes instructions on a summer maiden hurdler. And you could go out to ride for him in a Gold Cup or Champion hurdle, and he'd ask you what you want to do, and then he'd give you the thumbs up, and he'd walk on to the next jockey. He always believed in letting the jockey do the work, and he's a very easy man to ride for. So that lets you be creative with your own.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose when you if you compare it to you have to compare him to other great trainers, motivators. Let's say Sir Alex Ferguson. He was never known for going in and giving loads of instructions to his players or anything like that. He was going in with a very simple message, and then let the players go out and play because that's what they're paid to do.
Yeah. And that's what Willie does on the big days. But then he just shows such an interest, and he's so meticulous about horses, and every horse will win its race with him because even the bad ones he shows so much interest in. Sorry, not the bad ones, the lesser ones. Ones running during the summer, and that's why he's just making sure that everything goes to plan. Goes through everything with a fine-tooth comb. But on the big days, he leaves the jockey to his work.
Yeah, I think he had another great day today. I think he had definitely 2 or 3 winners today.
Yeah, he won the 2 big races today, I think, in Naas. So, yeah. Yep.
I had them backed.
Ah, well done.
Well done. Tell me this, David. How does it, like, I'm a complete novice when it comes to some of these things you're talking about are going over my head completely. Do you know what I mean? But I'm smiling and I'm going, yes. Do you know what I mean? I'm making eye contact. But how difficult is it go from one horse to another horse? How long do you get with the horse to know the horse? I imagine you have to spend a long time to get to know the horse before you can ask it to do what you want to do. No.
Literally, you get up on the horse 2 minutes before the race starts.
And is that the first time you've got on the horse, or would you have rode the horse before?
No, a lot of times that would be the first time you've got on the horse, yeah. But obviously I work in Willie's in the morning, so I know the horses I'd been riding for him, or I know the horses I'm riding for my father. But other than that, no.
Wow. And I didn't realize that jockeys start so young. You were saying you started at 15. I didn't realize that at all.
I started riding at 16, but you obviously have to start riding at home first. I started that quite late, so most jockeys is doing that when they're 7, 8, 9.
Wow. And do you still ride? You still ride for fun, like?
Yeah, I ride out in Willie's there just for something to do at the minute. And I haven't left the game. I still want to keep in the know and see what's happening and see how he trains horses. And I want to go different places to ride horses. I might try and look into riding a few show jumpers now soon enough as well.
Cool.
Had you ran many point-to-points in before you'd had you done many point-to-points before you jumped into the RC?
No, I had rode in bumpers. That was all. I couldn't get a license to ride in Points, and I couldn't get a license to ride against professionals on the track. So then I got thick with them and I said, right, give me my professional license.
So that's why you have to pick. We might all become jockeys.
You just described there that you ride out in the mornings for Willie. It must be like a surreal thing that a Grand National winning jockey is just dropping in to ride out.
Yeah,
in the morning.
I'm sure some of the young lads that are looking after the horses are like, oh fucking hell.
No, Jesus, no. I worked in Willie's and Paul Townend works in Willie's every day. Ruby Walsh is there 3 days a week. And he, they work there every day. If you're not in the mornings, you're not getting the rides in the evenings.
Fair enough.
Now, another thing is, in a few years' time, are we going to see David Mullins trainer?
Possibly. Won't be to a big level. I don't think it'd suit me being a trainer of 200 horses.
Okay. You don't know.
No, you see, it's hard. I like to aspire to be something I can be the best at, and I don't think you to be the best trainer there is. You need 200 horses. You need probably 400 horses and 200 horses there and 200 waiting. I can't see that happening. No.
Okay. We won't keep you too much longer.
We have to go into something important. Who are you going to tell us to keep an eye out for Cheltenham?
Yeah,
Who am I going to tell you to keep an eye out for Cheltenham?
You can pick a few, like.
Well, back to more.
I think there's a few good favourites that shouldn't be beat. Envoy Allen's the obvious one. Monkfish. I think if Honeysuckle shows up as she did in Leopardstown, she'll win the champion hurdle with her head tied between her two front legs.
Great horse.
Great horse. And in
3
fairness,
great horses you picked there.
Yeah. Chack and Poursois. I'm a big fan of Kilcrut. My grandmother bred him. The second favourite in the champion bumper is called Sir Gerhard. One of my best friends, Jonathan Fitzpatrick, who died a couple of years ago, bred him. So with my granny breeding the favourite, and one of my best friends who's passed bred the second favourite. So that'll be. I have a funny feeling I'm going to be smiling at the end of that race anyway.
Either one.
will Patrick go professional for the Cheltenham?
Good question. He's looking into it, I believe, and he's asking if you turn professional, you obviously have to hold your license for so long before you can turn back amateur. I think he'd be mad not to do it, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What do you think of the decision to not allow apprentice jockeys at Cheltenham?
Or amateur jockeys.
Or amateur jockeys?
Well, it was a PR disaster last year when it went ahead Cheltenham. With the benefit of hindsight, it probably shouldn't have gone ahead, maybe. But we couldn't have seen this happening and stuff like that. So I think it's an amateur. You're an amateur, so you it's either a professional sport or it's an amateur sport, and you can't be the only amateur sports that are going ahead. So you have to fall in. There's obviously.
Okay, I didn't realize that all of amateur sports. I didn't realize that all amateur sports were cancelled. I didn't realize that.
Same as here, like there's no amateur.
Yeah, it's like Patrick Mullins is an amateur, so he's are they entitled? They're every bit as good as professionals and do the same work, but looking at it in black and white and on paper, they're amateurs.
Yeah. It's a bit like getting away from horse racing. Do you remember when Lowry won
he won the Irish Open?
He won the Irish Open,
and he couldn't collect the check.
He couldn't collect the check because he was an amateur.
The Irish Open, it was like 90. Was it 90 grand or something like that?
Would be more,
or maybe more. Yeah, but because I think he was he wasn't even the best amateur in Ireland at the time that Lowry won the Irish Open.
Yeah,
9 or something like that.
Was it that long ago? I remember, like, he had a simple tap in to win it. I would have got the driver, and I would have drove it straight down the lake. Listen, David, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us. I enjoyed this podcast thoroughly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, and we're going to back them 5 horses that you picked out as well.
And, that's a lot, lads, and thanks very much for having me on.
No problem.
Thanks very much, David. Thanks very much. I couldn't get a word in with $2, but thanks very much.
Hey, and you only have 1 collarbone as well.
You've only 1 collarbone. That's it.
Best of luck.
I've been waiting for that. Good luck.
A big one. Good stuff.
All right, lads.
Thanks very much.
Bye.
Brilliant. I really enjoyed that, and I hope everyone that watched this enjoyed it as well. And thank you very much for watching. As you can tell, I get excited about horse racing. I get excited about GAA, and I get excited about horse racing
And rugby.
and rugby
And drinking.
and drinking.
And women.
I couldn't get a word in with you two. You were asking me, bang, 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 bang. Geez, you were good, lads. You were good with questions. Some of it was over my head. But geez, you was sound Oshkin.
Gentleman. Yeah, an absolute gentleman.
Really good.
An absolute gentleman.
So,
yeah. And it was good.
Go for a beat.
It was just good crack. It was good crack. Do you know what I mean? And I learned a lot. And it was interesting. So you'll have to teach me a bit more about the horse racing. I don't know much about it. Some of it was kind of over my head.
Like he's obviously quite blasé about the fact because he's grown up in a world where horse racing is just like top jockeys are falling out of the trees at home where he is.
Yes, yes.
It's so normal to him, but like to us mere mortals, it's a different level altogether. These guys they're probably up there with the bravest athletes out there.
Yeah, of course.
They're jumping into
100%.
35, 40 miles an hour. They're falling and breaking bones. As he said, like.
And then they're getting up a few weeks later onto the same horse again.
He's like he was like, when you go, like you break arms and legs, Asher would be grand. Like That's not normal for a job.
No.
Yes. Of course. Yeah.
Well, if you break your back in a normal thing, you're like, fuck it, I'm not even gonna go outside the door. He's back up.
Yeah. They're hardy skins. They're hardy. Like I said, they're like hurlers, plasterers, and
Plasters in there.
the plasterers the same. They've got a weird, hard look in their eye, and jockeys are the same.
Yeah, it's no, look, it was a pleasure having David on again. It's a good insight into it's interesting because obviously when he was he's a top professional jockey in a sport that, and obviously he was phoning it in. Even obviously, I'm sure he's a competitive spirit. He wants to win every time he gets on a horse, but not loving it just proves that he's dropped out in 24. He's gone and decided to do other stuff.
So, like, put it in perspective for me, to somebody who doesn't understand it, it'd be the equivalent to a top footballer retiring. That's why it was such a shock, was it?
This, and not just a top footballer playing with Man United.
Yeah, or Barcelona or Real Madrid.
It'd be like somebody like. It'd be like somebody like
Diego Maradona's son.
It's not even that. If you had someone at Barcelona, maybe not like Lionel Messi, because there's only one Lionel Messi, right? But you're talking about someone like Antoine Griezmann, really close to the top, possibly the next greatest in there, and fill the void. That was why they're going to the
would be guaranteed to be in every top race or every top game, the Champions League, the World Cup finals, if they were there. He'd be guaranteed to be on the team, and so would David be on.
So it must have been. They must have just went crazy when he retired. So
massive.
The media must have went crazy.
Media did, but obviously his family were well, as he said, well tutored.
Yeah, they probably knew a long time before he retired that he's not going to be in there until he's in his mid-40s, like AP McCoy. He's not going to try and, like AP McCoy was for 25 years champion jockey, winning 200 winners a year
plus
over 200 winners a year.
Wow.
And I think there's a little bit of they've almost become, those type of jockeys have almost become a little bit normalized, like himself and Ruby and Barry Geraghty.
Yeah.
Richard Johnson, David Russell. Those super elite jockeys, they kind of became almost normalized that they were doing this type of going over and back to Ireland in helicopters to run a couple of horses and win a couple of races, just so their statistics would be so high. It's almost like Messi or Ronaldo scoring 40 goals a year. 20 years ago, it wasn't normal to score 40 or 50 goals a year.
Yeah. Of course.
So regular. That the standard is that's where the standard is now, So I'm sure for a jockey like, the pressure must have been enormous.
Yeah, of course.
Because you're looking at these guys, and I'm sure he could beat them on his day. Well, he proved that he could beat them on his day.
Yeah, exactly. I seen on a couple of interviews that he felt that he couldn't be the best. I don't know. I think if he'd gone on a couple of years, he could have been the best. He could, but he would know better.
But you can't be the best if you don't love it.
Yeah, well, that's true.
That's true. If he said he wants to do something else, you know what I mean? If you don't love something and you only love winning, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a funny one, yeah. But it's a very interesting podcast. Very interesting podcast.
I love it.
Very lucky, and we want just thank him for coming on again. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
Right. If I jacked in my job tomorrow, I'm not going to have the whole of Ireland going, what the fuck are you doing, man?
But imagine,
seriously, man, think about this.
Don't do it.
I was like, COVID, it'd be grand.
But imagine if you did have the whole of Ireland going, Chris, no.
I'd probably go, all right, I'll give it another couple of weeks. Right, fucking bastards. You don't leave me to do nothing. Look, it's a really good, interesting chat with David. And it's good. Like, we've obviously had a professional boxer on. We've had the strongest man in Ireland. These guys they're at the top of their field for a reason. They've all got the same warrior kind of mentality where
and it's dedication. They've dedication as well. It's great to be able to talk to people like that, you know.
Yeah, they even though they're worlds apart in the type of like Pork O'Hora, Ray, Pow Dwyer yesterday, they all have similar characteristics, honestly, as David.
Brilliant.
It's true. It's true.
I love that. I'm starting to really enjoy these podcasts.
We hope you guys are as well. Obviously, If big thanks to all our patrons. The patrons are the ones that are actually making these things possible, and so a massive shout out to them. If you would like to become a patron, there'll be a link in the description. Please like and share the podcast. And if you share, the more you share it, the more people will be able to attract to the podcast. If you have any suggestions, send us a message. Okay.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks a lot.
Thanks very much, guys.
Yeah. Perfect, guys.
All right.
Thank you. Take care.